What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. And this one is my team selection for Game Week 27. So I'm going to talk you through my transfer thoughts for this week and also my plans up until blank Game Week 31. Obviously, Haaland's still flagged at the moment. What am I thinking about doing with him? And I'll quickly take you through how I did in Game Week 26. So let's get into it. So Game Week 26 overall for me was really good. I scored 78 points, which was enough for a green arrow, and it took me inside the top 1.4k in the world. So my official rank right now is 1,369th. The highest it's been all season. So I'm absolutely delighted with that. Still a long way to go. Anything can happen, but hopefully this run of luck continues. But as always in FPL, unless you're number one, it's never quite good enough. So there is a negative, and that is that I use my triple captain chip on Gabriel, and that has netted me 7 points. Which, let's be real, is a triple captain fail. Because even if people have saved their triple captain and got bench boost left, and they bench boost in double game week 33, and there's no other double game week for the rest of the season, even in that scenario, they'd hope to beat 7 points in a single game week. And the fact that the title race is wide open, like it's basically in Arsenal and Man City's hands right now, means that the longer it goes on, the less rotation you get. So if Man City do get a great double later, there will be a chance that Haaland starts both games now. So yeah, it's a fail, right? 7 points is rubbish. And I'm kind of used to it because apart from the triple captain I got earlier this season, I've never really had a good score. But it does suck. Was it the wrong decision? I mean, I must admit, before the game week, I did keep saying I'm not quite sure about it. I'm like 70% sure. Got a bad feeling about it, but I'm probably going to use it anyway just in case there's not a double later on. You know, it's on I see all the not hindsight takes. Some people would have said this before the game week, but a lot of how did you triple captain a defender, etc. I mean, this is Gabriel's lowest combined score of the season. So if you add up game weeks 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, etc., he's never scored less than 8 points until now. You know, he got 1 attack and return and assist last night, same as Declan Rice. Declan Rice doubled his score. Like he got defensive contributions in both games. Gabriel only did that once. You know, he conceded 2 goals to Wolves, so he lost an extra point last night as well. Like, who saw that coming? Look, it is what it is. I think if you're going to use it on a defender, it's someone like Gabriel. He's definitely capable of getting a bigger score than 7. But it's done now, right? No point thinking about it. And whoever ends up being the triple captain later on, I'll still be able to captain them. So at worst, let's say the triple captains later on get 20 points. I've lost 13 points. As long as I captain the same player. So it's not great, but it's probably not going to be season defining. At least I hope not, because things are going well and I'd like them to continue going well. Elsewhere, I mean, Declan Rice obviously did really well, 14 points across the 2 games. Bearing in mind that I thought it was a mistake to have gone for him, and I probably should have gone for Timber instead. Again, stroke of luck. Because had I gone back and changed that, obviously I'd be down even more points. So thank you, Declan Rice. You've done really well. And I suspect a lot less people will be thinking about selling you this week. And obviously the big points for me came from Van Dijk. I actually went away to visit friends and family in England during the little break we had between 26 and 27. So I was kind of half watching the Liverpool game on an iPad on hotel Wi-Fi. It wasn't great. So I was kind of tracking it on Twitter as well. And when I saw that they had a corner and that he'd scored, I mean, it was great. Not that I want Liverpool to win. I know people always say that. I just want my FPL players to get points. So for him to walk away with a 17-pointer was huge. Really helped me this week. And I think he's been due a 17-pointer. I know that will sound like hindsight, but Liverpool's defensive stats have been great this year. He's one of the best premiums for defensive contributions, and we know he's got goal threat. He does it every season, and he'd already scored a bunch of goals in the Champions League as well. So if anyone was going to get a 17-pointer for the remainder of the season, it was him. So I'm happy with that. My only other points, Haaland got 5, subbed early. I mean, that didn't really matter. His effective ownership was over 100. In Burmo, 6 points. And Elliot Anderson, 5 points. So Elliot Anderson's been so consistent. Everyone else blanked. Raya, 3, rubbish. Senesi, 2. Munoz, 1. Enzo Fernandez, 2. Even Bruno Fernandes only got me 2 points. The one other thing I'll quickly talk about, definitely a mistake to have benched Thiago. I know he only got 2 points. And Senesi is the player that I would have benched for him. And he only got 2 points as well. So not a literal mistake, because I wouldn't have gained any points. But I should have played him. Nailed on penalty taker. He caused Arsenal problems. Very lucky for me that he didn't score. And I know we often want to go with these all-in strategies where if we've got double defence, we don't play an attacker. But ultimately, Thiago was better than Senesi. I didn't really fancy Bournemouth for a clean sheet in that game. And even if, I know exactly why you don't want to play an attacker against a defender. And in cases where it's really close, I won't do it. But I don't think that was particularly a close call between Senesi and Thiago. And ultimately, as much as I might want Thiago not to score because I've got double defence, doesn't mean that he won't. So had he been the one to wipe it out, okay, well, I've lost the clean sheet anyway. I might as well get some points for it. So, yes, where possible, you don't play attackers versus defenders and you do avoid it. But I think if it's like Senesi away to Everton or Thiago nailed on penalty taker, I should have played him. So I think that was a mistake. And I don't see me doing that again in the future, but you never know. I mean, if it gets to the end of the season and I'm looking for a massive differential and I want to bench an attacker against defender, I might do it. But in this case, I don't think it was the right call, even though in the end it didn't lose me any points. So there we go, 78 total, 1,369 from the world. Very happy with that. Let's talk about Game Week 27. So I've got one free transfer this week and 1.4 million in the bank. And at the moment, I'm set up in a back four. So I've got the double up on Arsenal defence with Raya and Gabriel as normal against Spurs away. That match is going to be really interesting because although the title is still in Arsenal's hands, it's also in Man City's hands. Whoever wins that game between the two, if they win all their other games, they will win the league. Now, it's unlikely, obviously, that either team will win all their games, but knowing that from an Arsenal point of view, that does put added pressure on. It's a big derby, you're away from home, and they've got a new manager. Now, Arsenal will still be favourites to win this game, and to be honest with you, I think they're still maybe not clear favourites to win the league, but I still think it's very likely they will, but there is added pressure now. So going into this game, normally I'd be quite happy with double defence. Maybe it's not so good now, but ultimately I'm always going to play Raya over Dubravka, or at least almost always, and I'm never going to bench Gabriel. This is the kind of game he'll pop up and score a goal in, so I'm not particularly worried, but I do think it's a much... I mean, it's a bit weird to say it's a bigger game than normal because it is a huge derby between the two, but you know what I mean, right? It does feel a little bit bigger than it did maybe 7 days ago. Van Dijk, absolute hero from Game Week 26 with Forest away. Definitely playing him this week. And then Munoz against Wolves at home looks really good. I know Wolves obviously playing better now, so there's no guarantee of a clean sheet there, of course, but it's still a good fixture on paper. We know what Munoz is capable of in terms of attacking threat, and hopefully he doesn't get subbed early this week like he did last week. I mean, he wasn't back long back from injury. Maybe that played a part of it. But I suspect that he'll play 80 to 90 in this one. Hopefully get me an attack and return, and then maybe a clean sheet on top would be a nice little bonus. The only real decision I've got to make, it should be the other way around, right? The clean sheet would be nice, and then a bonus from an attack and return. But whatever, hopefully he gets me some points. I'm not selling him. And the plan with Munoz, by the way, is probably to hold him all the way till 31, and then make a decision about whether to carry him through the blank and just make a transfer elsewhere, maybe in my attack, or sell him to a different defender. I'll just reassess that once we get to Game Week 31. I'll probably bench him against Man United away, maybe, but I'll play him against Spurs away and Leeds at home. So that's the plan with Munoz. The only real decision to make in defence is whether to play Joachim Andersen or Senesi. I'm pretty sure I'm going to play Andersen. There is a little bit in the back of my mind saying, well, you just got a 17-pointer from Van Dijk away to Sunderland. Why not try it again with Andersen? Not that I expect him to get 17 points, but also I think Senesi's playing West Ham away. West Ham are playing well right now. They're scoring goals. And I think the Fulham defence is maybe a little bit better than Bournemouth anyway. I looked at the clean sheet odds before I started recording. Fulham are 29% for a clean sheet away to Sunderland. Bournemouth are 20% away to West Ham. So I think it's got to be Andersen. Senesi's a little bit better for defensive contributions, but Andersen's still very good as well. So I think, although that's the only decision I've got to make, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to play Andersen. So back four is the intention. Raya, Gabriel, Van Dijk, Andersen, Munoz. I think that looks pretty good. I don't think I need a defender transfer this week. I think people that are buying defenders, if they're not... Well, if they're buying defenders, they're probably looking at Van Dijk. I've got him. They're probably looking at Fulham defenders. I've got Andersen. Or they're probably buying James Hill, and I've already got Senesi in place, so I don't need to go for him. There's no point going for a Chelsea defender this week because the fixtures are not very good afterwards. And I don't want to go near Brentford defenders right now because I'm not sure who's going to play centre-back at the moment. So I'm pretty happy with how it looks. No transfer needed. Let's talk about midfield. So the midfielder I'm benching this week is Elliot Anderson against Liverpool at home. Now, the beauty of a player like that is you can play them in any fixture. But I do think the points potential in a game like that is reduced. Yes, he can get defensive contributions in any game, and it is more likely he'll get them in a game like this. But also, I would intuitively say that the chance of getting a yellow card go up, and obviously the chance of getting a clean sheet are down as well. So part of the reason he got a 5-pointer against Wolves was defensive contributions and a clean sheet. I don't see a clean sheet this week. More chance of a yellow card, and therefore it's probably more likely to be like a 2 or 3-pointer rather than a 4 or 5. So I think benching him and basically playing one of Joachim Andersen or Van Dijk is a perfectly reasonable decision. So I'm going to bench Andersen. He's actually second on my bench behind Senesi. Maybe I'll change that, but it's probably not going to matter. In midfield, I got the double up on Man United, Fernandes and Mbeumo. Not an amazing fixture against Everton away, but it's fine. They play all the way through to 31. They've been one of the best attacks in the league this season. I'm pretty confident Mbeumo's minutes will continue to be really good, even though he's not necessarily always playing it as a number 9 at the moment. There is a bit of interchanging between him and Cunha. He is playing a lot of minutes off the left, which is not as ideal as if he was playing 9 or right wing. But there's no point in using a transfer on him. Like at this point in time, transfers are just really precious because my strategy is to play up until the blank in 31 and then wildcard afterwards. Now that plan could change depending on what happens in the FA Cup and with blanks and doubles and stuff like that. But that's the current plan. So I don't want to waste any transfers when I need to make sure I get 11 players out in 31. But also, I would like to roll some transfers through to my wildcard as well because there will be more interesting things to do later on this season. So I can't waste any transfers at the moment. Mbeumo will play all the way through. Man United's fixtures are okay. He definitely stays. With Declan Rice, that is basically a week-by-week assessment. Do I need to sell him this week? If not, I'll keep him. And obviously the latest that I'll get rid of him is in game week 31. So I don't think I'll end up carrying him through the blank. I'm pretty sure I'll sell him. I don't have a huge amount of value tied up in him. He's not necessarily going to be essential for the rest of the season. So it's just a week-by-week assessment. My assessment this week is I don't need to sell him. Because if I was going to get rid of him, it would be for someone like maybe Wirtz, which would not be a bad pick this week for Forest away. But is it worth my one free transfer? Where again, transfers are precious right now. I need to make sure that everyone I use is the correct move. Is doing Rice to Wirtz this week a massive upgrade? I don't think so. And I do quite like the looks of Dangu, Tara and Sharda. But again, are they massively better this week? I don't think so. This is the perfect game for Rice to go and pick up defensive contributions. Maybe it'll be a similar situation with Elliot Anderson, more likely to get a yellow card potentially. But his attacking output is better than Anderson anyway. So he's got a few more routes to points. So I'm happy to keep him. Next week will be the big decision for me. Because after Enzo Fernandez has Burnley at home, it's then Arsenal away. And I will probably look to sell him. And then if I want to do Enzo to Wirtz, I've got to free up some money. So that could come from Munoz. It could come from Rice. That's when I'll make the decision. I just don't want to do it this week. I think this week, if you can, is just a really good... I mean, any week over the next 2 or 3, if you're trying to play through the blank without any chips, is just a good week to roll if your team looks okay. And I think Fernandes, Mbeumo, Rice, Enzo Fernandez is not a bad midfield. The defence looks good as well. I can't see the use to make a luxury transfer, essentially. And then up front, it's Thiago against Brighton at home, Haaland against Newcastle at home, and Mark Guiu last on my bench, as always, with Burnley at home. Not that it matters, because the guy never gets any minutes anyway. Haaland at the moment is still yellow flagged, but there were training photos that came out last night via Man City's Twitter account, and they showed Haaland in training. So I think he's going to be absolutely fine. I'm not saying there was no issue there whatsoever because he did come off early in game week 26, but I think getting to rest him against Salford was probably always the plan. So I'm fully expecting him to start against Newcastle. Unless Pep says something really negative in his press conference, I'm expecting the minutes to be good, and he'll definitely be my captain. I don't mind captaining Bruno Fernandes against Everton away, but Haaland is better at home to Newcastle, and so that's where the captain's armband will be. And also, although Newcastle had a great result in the first leg of their Champions League playoff and will be able to rest players in the second leg, it's still a lot of travel. And the home game is obviously for Man City. So I'm happy to captain him. If I had Cole Palmer this week, I would go for him instead with the captain's armband. But I don't think it's worth me trying to bring him in. It would take 2 transfers at this point to do it anyway. And I've only got 1. So that would be for a hit. And like I've said a few times in this video already, transfers are precious right now. I've just got to accept that I made the wrong call on Palmer. And I just have to hope he doesn't do too much against Burnley at home, basically. And then Thiago, I just think is great, right up until the blank and maybe even beyond it as well. The fixtures are good. We know he's going to play every game. He wasn't even in the squad, I don't think, for the FA Cup game, but that's just going to be a full rest. So he's going to play against Brighton. He'll probably play 90 minutes, and he's one of the best forwards to own right now. Like, if I was wildcarding, and I'll be honest, I've not looked at wildcard 27 at all, so this is just off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure if I was wildcarding this week, Haaland and Thiago would be straight on there. I mean, maybe not Haaland. Maybe I would take a punt on Salah and Palmer instead, but Thiago definitely would be. And as much as I like Ekitike, I still think Thiago's probably the slightly better pick, just because of the penalties, basically. I mean, I wouldn't mind a Thiago, Haaland and Ekitike front three, but I think my preference, especially when you take into account value and stuff like that, is probably Thiago. So I'm quite happy with how that looks. I don't think there's too many players this week that I'm missing, apart from obviously Palmer would be good, a Chelsea defender would be good. And look, there'll be some other players that are decent, like Semenyo, Rodgers, etc. But I think my team looks okay. That's all I can manage. I can't worry about every other player that I don't own. One free transfer. I don't think there's enough upgrades there. So I'm probably going to roll. And then the plan really is how to manage game week 31. So I've got one transfer this week. I think when I get to 28, I am probably going to deal with Enzo Fernandez. I think I will end up selling him. If you've got a decent bench, which to be fair, I may well have in 28. Like, I could play Elliot. Selling Enzo is not a guarantee for me. That's all I will say. In 28, I could play Elliot Anderson against Brighton away instead, or even just play a back four and just play Munoz against Man United away. It wouldn't be the end of the world. So in theory, I could roll again in 28. I'm not ruling that out. But I do like the idea of selling Enzo to Wirtz, and then to fund that, I like selling Declan Rice, because he's going to blank in 31 anyway, and I can bring someone like Sharda in. And again, Sharda's fixtures, like Thiago, are pretty good because they play for the same team. And it's also Burnley away in 28. So that would allow me to play a 3-5-2. It does mean benching Joachim Andersen against Spurs at home and Munoz against Man United away. But I don't think that's the end of the world. By the way, if you want to check this tool out and all the other tools that Fantasy Football Hub have got, there's a 7-day free trial at the moment. Link in the description below. So that would be my 2 free transfers used in 28. And the team looks really good, by the way. I don't know if I would play Elliot Anderson ahead of Joachim Andersen, but that's a decision for next week. Game week 29 would be a roll. So the team would be a back four with, I don't think I'd bench Sharda. I would definitely bench Elliot Anderson over Sharda. So a 4-4-2. Game week 30, that's when Munoz has got Leeds at home. So potentially a back three. So basically, the decision every week is, do I play Elliot Anderson? So he's got Fulham at home. Van Dijk's got Spurs at home. I'm pretty sure I'll end up playing Van Dijk ahead of Elliot Anderson, but we can decide that later on. And so 29 one transfer, 32 transfers, 31 would be 3 free transfers. And I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players with a fixture. So in theory, I've only got to make 1 transfer to get to 11, which means I'd have 2 left over. So I could either make some upgrades, but my preference will be to roll them through my wildcard in 32. The big decision will be, do I sell Haaland and lose the value? Do I go for Ekitike or Watkins or Solanke maybe even in game week 31? Or do I preserve the value in Gabriel and Haaland, just bench them and play 4-4-2? So I could go for something like Munoz, maybe to Lewis Hall, or to like Chow against Sunderland at home, and then just play a 4-5-1. So I think the weak spots in this team would be Dubravka against Fulham away, Senesi against Man United at home, and I guess Elliot Anderson against Spurs away is not great. It's okay. I think Elliot Anderson's one I'm least worried about because you always get something. Senesi against my double Man United attack is not great. But then the question becomes, is it worth an extra transfer to not have that? Probably not. I think I'd rather just roll 2 transfers and the rest of the team looks kind of okay. So that's the rough plan. Try and get to 31 with 3 free transfers. I mean, in hindsight, I shouldn't have bought Munoz because obviously he blanked against Burnley and that would have given me an extra move. But I would have had Lewis Hall and there's no guarantee he would have definitely started like we saw in game week 26. So I don't think I'm too disappointed about selling Hall, but buying Munoz, maybe it wasn't the right call, but that's hindsight talking, right? I think him against Burnley looked like a pretty good pick. So yeah, get to 31, 3 free transfers, use 1, roll 2 through the wild card, and put out 11 players. There will be people with better teams than me. I've just got to hope that the damage is minimal. I'm just going to check my AI transfers this week. I'm hoping it's going to say roll, because I don't really think there's too many massive upgrades. Yeah, we recommend making no transfer. I'm happy with that. No transfers needed. I like rolling. I hate being on 1 transfer. It'd be nice to get back up to 2. So that's the plan. Team looks pretty good. Things are going well. Long may it continue. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 500k. Check out Fantasy Football Hub and make use of the 7-day free trial using the link in the description below. And I will catch you tomorrow for final thoughts. See you then.